I welcome you back to the second part of the chapter Magnetic Effect of Current. So before we go to the new topic, let us have a quick review of last day's the topic which we studied in the last video, that is a solenoid. So in the solenoid we studied solenoid is a structure which is obtained by winding a long insulated copper wire in the form of a cylinder. And what are the ways to increase the strength of a solenoid? Increase the number of turns and increase the current passing through the solenoid. So there is one more way to increase the strength of a solenoid, that is first of all take an iron core and then over this iron core wind this insulated copper wire. Then the strength of that resulting structure, its strength is quite high. Strength means strength of the magnetic field. Strength of the magnetic field produced by that structure is quite high compared to the magnetic field produced by a solenoid. And that new structure is called the electromagnet. So today's our first topic is electromagnet. So what is electromagnet? It is a magnet obtained by winding a very long insulated copper wire over the iron core. Okay, then why this magnet is called electromagnet? Because this particular object, or we can say this particular device, that shows the magnetic property only when electricity is passed. That means as soon as we cut the electricity, the magnetic property should disappear. So the object or this device has got the name electromagnet. Okay, so first let us draw the figure of the electromagnet. So for obtaining the electromagnet, what we should do? First of all, we have to take an iron core. And then over the iron core we have to wind the insulated copper wire. Then that resulting magnet is called electromagnet, and here we provide the supply. So what happens? Electricity is passed through this arrangement. This particular device acts like a magnet. Okay, so here what is this rod? This rod is the core, and what is the material used for making the core of electromagnet? It is soft iron. So the material is a soft iron. So here comes one more term, that is hard iron. So what is the difference between a hard iron and a soft iron? So this classification is basically on the basis of the contents present in that iron. If the carbon is very less, then we call it as a soft iron. But from the point of view of this magnetism, soft iron and hard iron, that means if the material is very easy to magnetize and demagnetize. What will be demagnetize? Destroy the property of magnetization. That is called a demagnetization. If it is very easy to magnetize and demagnetize iron, then we call that iron as soft iron. Otherwise it is called a hard iron. So usually steel comes in the category of hard iron. So whenever we make an electromagnet, we don't prefer steel. So why don't we prefer steel? Because if we are preferring a steel, the first thing, it is not easy to magnetize it, and second thing, it is not easy to demagnetize. So if the electromagnet is wound over the soft iron core, what happens? As soon as you pass the electricity, okay, this coil of wires, they start showing the magnetic property because of the passage of electricity, and the iron core is coming in the magnetic field of that coil. So when you introduce a soft iron in the magnetic field, what happens is the atoms or the electrons inside that soft iron, they start aligning in such a way that they start to show a net magnetic moment or a net magnetic field. So what is the result? When we pass the electricity through this magnet, these coils are producing the magnetic effect. But apart from that, this core, that means the soft iron core, the soft iron core is also acting as a magnet. That is why I told in the beginning, the strength of the magnetic field produced by electromagnet is quite high compared to that of a solenoid. Okay, so here you remember one point. Whenever we make a electromagnet, we prefer the soft iron as its core and not the hard iron. Okay, so here let us see what are the different ways to increase the strength of this electromagnet. One is increase the current, and the next is increase the number of turns. Okay, so here comes one more question. What is the difference between electromagnet and a permanent magnet? So when we know about different types of permanent magnet, different shaped magnets are available in our lab, like a bar-shaped magnet, U-shaped magnet, horseshoe magnet. So what is the difference between a permanent magnet and an electromagnet? So electromagnets, I mean, we can magnetize and demagnetize electromagnet as per our wish. But we can't do that very fast with the help of which one, for which magnet, a permanent magnet. So the first difference is for electromagnet, it is very easy to magnetize and demagnetize. Permanent magnet, it is not so easy. Its magnetic property is almost permanent. And the next thing, here we know that if we want to increase the strength of electromagnet, we can increase the current here. Or we can increase the number of turns. But we cannot increase the strength of permanent magnet once if it is made. So it is very difficult to change the strength of permanent magnet. But we can change the strength of electromagnet. And the next thing is, here, see, suppose current is passing in this direction, okay? So from here, suppose the current is turning right. So if the current is turning right, when I look at from this end of the electromagnet, then I see this end of the electromagnet is acting as a south pole and this end is acting as a north pole. But suppose if I want to reverse the poles of this electromagnet, is it possible? Yes, what I will do, I will reverse the direction of current. As I reverse the direction of current, what happens? The magnetic polarity of the electromagnet, magnetic polarity also switches. But doesn't happen in the case of a permanent magnet. And these are the differences between electromagnet and permanent magnet. So electromagnet, magnetization and demagnetization very easy. Here it is very difficult. And in the case of permanent magnet, the magnetic poles are fixed. We cannot reverse the magnetic poles. And for electromagnet, we can reverse the magnetic poles. And the third difference is we can change the strength of magnetic field of an electromagnet, but we cannot change the strength of magnetic field of a permanent magnet. So these are the main differences between electromagnet and a permanent magnet. There are many applications for the electromagnet and the permanent magnet as well. So if you take the case of a permanent magnet, you have studied in the first chapter of class 10 physics, electricity. There you have seen different devices like ammeter, voltmeter. In all these devices we use permanent magnets. But if you see the case of a motor, generator, then you see the fan, then in the the mixie, washing machine, in all those devices you use the electromagnets. Okay, so how the electromagnets are used there, you will study later when you study about motor. So these are the uses of electromagnets and permanent magnets. Okay. Okay, let's move to the next topic. So we know that in the beginning of the chapter, we studied about the experiment performed by Hans Christian Ørsted. So what he observed that when a compass needle was kept parallel to a current carrying conductor, or when it was kept near the current carrying conductor, the compass needle was deflected. So why the compass needle was deflected? Because when current was sent through the conductor, this current produced a magnetic field all around it, and this magnetic field interacted with the magnetic field of the compass needle. And due to this interaction, okay, but due to the interaction, one exert force on the other, the second one also exert force on the first one. This is what the meaning of the interaction. Because of the interaction, what happened to the compass needle? Compass needle deflected. But why we observe deflection only for the compass needle? Because here we know both the fields are interacting, both are exerting force on each other. And actually this question came in the mind of Andrew Ampere. So what he told, if the current carrying conductor is exerting force on the compass needle, then compass needle also should exert force on the current carrying conductor, because according to Newton's third law, to every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. So then he told, when Ørsted performed that activity, he fixed the conductor. That is why he could not observe any motion for the conductor. So if you want to observe motion to the conductor, what you have to do, you fix the magnet and free the conductor. Then you will see that due to the force given by the compass needle, the conductor will move. So this is what we are going to study in the next topic, force exerted by a current carrying conductor in a magnetic field. So heading is already written. So before we go into this topic, so I want you to go through a small animation. Okay, so let us have a watch on that. Okay, so what you see in that video, when a magnet was kept near the current carrying conductor, and magnet was a heavy magnet, it was not free to move, but the conductor was very light one, it was kept in such a way that it is free to move. So we observed that when magnet was kept near the conductor, the conductor is bending in some direction, right? So conductor is showing some motion there because it is experiencing force. So we came to know practically it is possible if a current carrying conductor is kept in a magnetic field, then conductor also experience the force. Okay, so once we discovered this concept, we try to apply this in technology, and whenever we use this concept in any technological applications, we try to keep the conductor in such a way that the conductor should experience maximum force when it is kept in the magnetic field. So here we need to remember one very important point. If you want to get a maximum force for a current carrying conductor in a magnetic field, that conductor should be kept perpendicular to the magnetic field. And when the current carrying conductor is kept in a magnetic field, in which direction the conductor experiences the force, that can be given by a rule. We call it as Fleming's left hand rule. And what's the name of the rule? Fleming's left hand rule. Fleming's left hand rule. Okay, so before we go to this rule, let us see a small activity or a small experimental arrangement which help us to understand the arrangement of the current carrying conductor, how it is to be kept in a magnetic field. Okay, so for that we need a source of magnetic field. So here I am showing a U-shaped magnet as the source of magnetic field. Let me show here north and here south. If here it is north and here it is south, then magnetic field lines are like this, north to south. And here I told you, for getting the maximum effect of the force, how the current carrying conductor is to be kept, it is to be kept perpendicular to the field. Here, look here, the magnet is like this. So field lines are from north to south. Outside the magnet, field lines are from north to south. So here field lines are like this, vertically downward. So vertically downward. So if you are keeping a current carrying conductor should be, the current carrying conductor should be perpendicular to the field. So here you see, when I am going to draw this figure on this board, it looks like this. See, field lines are vertically downward, then conductor should go into the board. But I cannot show this into the board because these two are at 90 degree, perpendicular to each other. So here when I draw this conductor on this board, appears like a conductor is lying in the plane of the board. Actually it is not like that. This conductor is perpendicular to the plane of this board. Why? Because already field lines are in that plane and current should be perpendicular to the field line. That means current carrying conductor is perpendicular to this plane. But in the figure it appears like this. So let me show a current carrying conductor here. Here comes the current carrying conductor. Okay. So here we assume like it is suspended like this. So imagine it is suspended from a rigid support. Okay, it is suspended like this, and these are the wires. Okay, these you assume as a connection wire for giving the supply to the conductor. Then only the conductor will act as a magnet. So here let me show the supply like this. In your textbook you can see there is a vertical stand, and from the stand this particular current carrying conductor is hanging. But here I made it like this. It's okay, you can make anyway, no issue. And here you show here the supply line and the terminals. Okay. So here how is the conductor coming? Conductor is like this. Okay, so this end of the conductor is near me and this is away from me. So this end I am showing here. So let me mark it as A and this one as B. Okay, this A means it is like this and B inside. See, this B is inside. Okay, so current from positive to negative. So how should I show? I should show like it is going in this direction. So B inside, A towards me. So current is from B to A. B to A means the current is coming towards me. This is the way the current carrying conductor is kept. At what angle the current carrying conductor is kept? It is kept at an angle perpendicular to the field, like this. And figure it appears like this. And this is A, this is B. Look. Okay, so if we know that if a current carrying conductor is kept in a magnetic field, the force will experience on that conductor. So in which direction? That we can find with the help of Fleming's left hand rule. So let us see what is Fleming's left hand rule. First of all, take your left hand, not the right hand. It's the first confusing thing for us. In the left hand, you stretch out the three fingers, forefinger, center finger and thumb. Forefinger, center finger and thumb of your left hand in mutually perpendicular directions. Okay, then forefinger F means that represents the magnetic field. Center finger C represents current. Thumb M represents motion. So what are the roles of each fingers? Forefinger for field, center finger for current, thumb for motion. Motion always in which direction? In the direction of the force. So what the Fleming's left hand rule says, stretch your forefinger, center finger and thumb in mutually perpendicular directions. If forefinger is in the direction of field, center finger is in the direction of current, then thumb represents the direction of motion or direction of force. So let us apply it. So here, first of all, let's open forefinger. Forefinger from north to south, vertically downward. Now, don't open the thumb, okay, because we are trying to find the direction of motion. That finger you have to open at last. So next we are given what? Current. Current in which direction? B to A. So A is near me, B away from me. Okay. So current towards me. Now let us open the thumb. So thumb in which direction? Away from the magnet, right or left? It is right. That means the conductor will be forced, conductor gets the force in which direction? Right or outward, out of the magnet. Now, here what happens when you reverse the current? Imagine you are changing the polarity of this battery and you are making this set positive, then this set negative. So what is the direction of current? Now the current is from A to B. Now let's try to apply the rule again. A to B again. Let's have a look at this conductor. This figure is a little confused. That is why again and again I am showing the conductor. So this end A is near me, B is away from me. Now the current is not towards me, current is away from me. Okay, let's open the fingers now. Forefinger in the direction of magnetic field, north to south. Then don't open thumb now. Center finger, don't hold it towards us because current is away from. Turn it now. See, turned. Now open the thumb. So in the previous case, thumb was showing right. Now the thumb is showing left. So what you will write? The direction of force also reversed. So as you reverse the direction of current, what happened to direction of force experienced by the conductor? Direction of force also reverses. Now what you do? Next you change the polarity of this magnet. So instead of north here, you just keep it reverse. Here south and here north. Then you see what difference comes in the direction of force. Okay. So this is how we have to apply Fleming's left hand rule. So what is the use of Fleming's left hand rule? Fleming's left hand rule is used for finding the direction of force experienced by a current carrying conductor in a magnetic field. Then at what angle the current carrying conductor is to be kept in the field? The conductor should be kept perpendicular to the field. Then the force experienced by the conductor is maximum. And what are the other ways to increase the magnitude of the force acting on the current carrying conductor? One is increase the current, increase the strength of the magnetic field, increase the length of the conductor that comes in the magnetic field. These are the ways to increase the force experienced by a current carrying conductor. Okay. So next, okay, before we wind up this one, let us have a look at the questions given in the NCERT. So here I have the text. All of you see page number 230. Okay, first we will see the example. It is given that an electron enters a magnetic field at right angles to it. It's given like this. Magnetic field is like this. An electron enters the magnetic field at right angle to it. So this is the direction of electron motion. Okay, electron motion. Electron motion is vertically downward as per this figure. So what is asked here? Then what is the direction of force acting on the electron? So here magnetic field is given. This is direction of field. So let me write here. This is direction of field. And then, so let's open the forefinger in the direction of field. Next, center finger for the direction of current. Here you see, this is wrong. Why it's wrong? Because vertically downward electrons are moving. Always current means it is the conventional current. So conventional current always goes opposite the direction of electrons. So turn the finger Okay, turn the hand now, so the current center finger is vertically upward. Then now you open the thumb. So what the thumb shows that the thumb is going into the plane of this board. So what is the answer? This electron experiences force into the plane of board. But here, if you see in the textbook, see this figure is made on that page, and that page is kept horizontally. So when you apply this Fleming's left hand rule, the finger will be into the plane of the page. So the answer comes D option, into the page. But here I made this figure on this board, so I see the force is into the board, into the plane of the board. Okay. So here you need to remember only one thing, that is direction of current is always opposite to direction of motion of the electron. And next thing what you have to remember is, when you apply the Fleming's left hand rule, these three fingers should be perpendicular. And here you see, once you start applying this rule in the beginning, you will find it difficult to hold the finger. So what you have to do, most of the cases if you start with the forefinger, it's very easy to just balance the hand. Okay. First of all, you try to move the hand like this. Okay, this movement should be possible. Now, as you move it, see, don't change the position of this finger like this. Forefinger, it is pointing finger, it should be always pointing. Okay, then you open the center finger and then you open the thumb as per the given situation. Then you will be able to apply it. Okay. Then next, let's move to the index questions. First question is, which of the following property of a proton can change when it moves freely in a magnetic field? So, magnetic field is associated with a charged particle. It can be electron, it can be proton, it can be alpha particle. Alpha particles are positively charged particles. They are equivalent to helium nuclei. You will study about alpha particle in detail later. And then there is another type of particle called beta particle. They are having negative charge. They are equivalent to electrons. So, whenever a charge moves, there is magnetic field. So, can be asked a question like alpha particle is moving. So, remember, alpha particle carries charge. So, if a charge moves, there will be a magnetic field around it. And here the question is about an proton. Okay, so proton is entering into a magnetic field. Then the question is, so 4 options are given. So, among these 4, which physical quantity of the proton can be changed in the magnetic field? The options are mass, speed, velocity and momentum. So, whenever a charged particle moves in a magnetic field, there will be no change in mass of the particle. Mass remains constant. And the next is the speed of the particle. Whenever a charged particle enters into a magnetic field, that field exerts force on the charge. That we know. That is what we studied. Why the current carrying conductor experiences force? Because that conductor possesses charge. This charge is ultimately the reason for the force on the conductor. So, when a charge enters into a magnetic field, that magnetic field exerts force. Let us call it as magnetic force. So, the magnetic force acting on a charge, moving charge, it is always perpendicular to its motion. Always the magnetic force, let the charge move in any direction, let it be perpendicular or let it be, what you say, inclined. Whatever the direction of magnetic force acting on the charge, direction always perpendicular. So, if the direction is acting perpendicular in any situation, if the force is acting perpendicular to the motion, that force can only change direction of motion. That force can never change the speed of motion. So, here we see the case of a proton. That proton is entering into a magnetic field. So, magnetic force is always perpendicular to its direction of motion. So, what the magnetic force can do on this electron? It can turn the direction. It can change the direction of motion. It cannot change the speed of the proton. So, if you talk about velocity, velocity is a vector quantity. Velocity has 2 parts, magnitude and direction. Magnitude of the velocity that we call as speed. Speed cannot be changed by the magnetic force. But what can be changed? Direction. So, if direction of motion changes, velocity changes. So, when a charged particle enters into a magnetic field, its direction of motion can be changed. That means its velocity can be changed. Now, we studied already about momentum. Momentum means it is mass and velocity. Mass remains constant, but velocity can be changed. That means momentum also can be changed. I hope you understand. So, both the options C and D can come in this as the correct answer. Then let's go to the next question. The question is, how do we think the displacement of road AB will be affected if current in road AB is in IS? This is about the activity which we discussed just before. So one part I explained already, I reversed direction of current. Then how the direction of force changes, direction of force also reversed. Now the question says you apply some change in direction to the magnetic field also and see how the direction of force is changing. Okay, so this one I think you can do. And the last question is a positively charged particle, it is alpha particle named here. I told you already about alpha particle, it is equivalent to helium nuclei. A positively charged alpha particle projected towards west is deflected towards north. Okay, so let me draw the geographic poles first. I think all are familiar with this one. This is north, this is south, this is east, this is west. So question says the positive particles are projected towards west, and then it is deflected towards north. That deflected towards north means this particle experienced force in which direction? Towards north. So this is north. So this is the direction of what? Force. And this is the direction of charged particle. And what type of charge? This is positive charge. Always the conventional current is showing the direction of positive charge. So what we have to understand from here, what this represents? This represents direction of current and this represents direction of force. Now the question is, then just to clear to me, let me wear my specs. A positive charged alpha particle projected towards west is deflected towards north by a magnetic field. Then what is the direction of magnetic field? So let me tell you one more thing before I apply this one. So we know that when we talk about the geographic poles, vertically actually north south is not coming. Okay, so how we represent the pole? If this is east, here comes west, here comes north, here comes south. This is vertically up, vertically down. Okay, this you remember. East, west, north, south. So this north, south, when I make on this board, this plane is kept vertical. So it appears like a north, south is vertically up. North is vertically up, south is vertically down. Please don't think like this in reality. North is go not like vertically up. Okay, so it is like if this is east, this is west, then here comes north and here comes the south. Now let us apply the rule. So what is given? Magnetic field we don't know, we have to find. And for me it is very easy to start with the opening forefinger. So just open the forefinger. Now okay, I am not fixing the direction for the forefinger because I don't know what's the direction of the forefinger. Field direction I have to find out. Now let me open the center finger. Center finger represents what? Direction of current. As per the question, the alpha particles are projected towards west. So west, look, here west, here east. So this is the direction of current. Now these alpha particles are deflected towards north. Where north comes? See, north we show like this, but actually here north. So let me open the thumb. Look, thumb should be perpendicular to this. Now this is west, this is now north. Now what is the forefinger is showing? Forefinger is pointing vertically upward. What is the meaning of forefinger? Forefinger represents direction of magnetic field. That means in this situation, what is the direction of magnetic field? Vertically upward. So here an alpha particle was projected towards west, and this alpha particle was deflected towards north because of some magnetic field. And that magnetic field is in which direction? Upward direction. Okay, I hope you understand this. So